This episode is made possible by the support we get from Fort Collins Kia. If you are in the market for any electric Kia, not only do they never add market adjustments, they will deliver your car to you anywhere in the 48 contiguous states for out-of-spec viewers. More information in the link in this episode's description. Hello and welcome back to the Out of Spec podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah. This past week at CES 2025, Honda released more information about their 3 upcoming EVs set to be released in 2026. We have the Honda Zero Saloon, Honda Zero SUV, as well as their joint venture vehicle with Sony, the Afeela 1. Let's just jump right into Honda's personal EVs, their Honda Zero concepts. Now, here at the Out of Spec channel, rarely do we want to pay a lot of attention to these concept vehicles. Legacy automakers tend to have this habit of making these extravagant concept vehicles that look absolutely nothing like production intent models. And why would I want to waste my time talking about something that will likely never happen? However, because Honda is claiming that we will see these vehicles next year, especially the Honda Zero SUV at the beginning of 2026, they already have plans to manufacture this at their Ohio facility plant. I think it's good to talk about this because within the next coming months, we're going to get more and more information, specs and details about these vehicles, especially the Honda Zero SUV. And I think this will be a game changer for Honda. Now, we know Honda currently has 1 EV in North America. They have about 4 across the globe, but here in North America, we only have the Prologue. Of course, Acura, the company owned by Honda, has the ZDX. However, it is pretty much the same vehicle underneath. It is all on GM's Ultium platform. So Honda doesn't even really own the architecture and the actual vehicle platform that the Honda Prologue and Acura ZDX are on. And this comes with licensing fees, extra manufacturing costs. And while it must be great to work with other automakers, I'm sure Honda would like to put more R&D and focus and money and time into their own EVs. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. And so we have the Honda Zero SUV and Saloon. We've actually seen the Honda Zero before. It was just the Saloon. Now we have 2 separate, the Saloon and SUV. The Saloon concept, again, I mean, these are just so weird. This is not likely to be anything production intent. I'm sure it gives you an idea of what Honda is thinking, which is really not a good thoughts in terms of the exterior, but we kind of move onto the interior here for those watching on screen. We have a pretty futuristic and I gotta say nice looking interior. We have these displays that go across the entire dash but aren't too overbearing. We have a yoke steering wheel, and while those seats are likely not production intent, those seats look pretty bolstered as well. But it kind of gives you the mind of what Honda is thinking. Now, here is the Honda Zero SUV. Again, these are concepts, but more lately, as I've already said, legacy automakers tend to make these concept vehicles and they look, nothing like production intent vehicles. I feel like more lately, automakers have been taking their concepts more serious, and the concepts end up looking a lot more like prototypes, something that Hyundai and Kia have done super well. And so hopefully Honda follows suit, and a lot of the design language we see in these vehicles carries over. Just missing some of the really crazy looking stuff. But you can see gigantic moon roof we have here, lots of glass. And objectively, the rear of this SUV is kind of weird, but this front, quarter view, I think it looks pretty nice. And it has Honda's new EV logo. And look, I'm in awe. But let's just talk about some of the facts. Now, again, unconfirmed specs and details. We don't know anything like the price, the range, the performance, because these are just concepts. But as I said, I don't like to pay attention to concepts, but because these are likely to come next year, we can talk about it. So expected early 2026, the SUV will be first, followed by the Saloon a couple months later. and these will be at Honda's Ohio assembly plant. These vehicles will run Honda's new Asimo operating software, Asimo OS. If you are an EV owner or enthusiast or just a tech enthusiast, you understand how important software is. We know where the bar is with Tesla, and we see what is happening with Rivian and Volkswagen and GM and Ford. All these companies are really trying to put a lot of time into the software of their vehicles, fully encapsulating the vehicle end-to-end software experience. Imagine over-the-air updates that can control just about every part of the vehicle, upgrading and enhancing the experience of the vehicle. The operating software is how you control the vehicle, and it's what connects the driver to the car. And so Honda is no exception. They'll be focusing on end-to-end software, which will be able to, of course, have over-the-air updates. Really, not a lot of crazy information from Honda regarding their Asimo operating software, but just understand that this is likely just going to be a software experience that they're achieving to get like Tesla, and that's where the bar is. This will have drive-by-wire tech, so steer-by-wire, braking, suspension, all of it will be electronically controlled. None of this will be physically connected like how we see today for a lot of even modern vehicles. We have the Cybertruck and I believe the Lexus RZ450, which have steer-by-wire. And for a lot of people, they love the steer-by-wire cool factor, and you know, really steer-by-wire doesn't change the consumer perspective. For instance, the Cybertruck, the turning radius really has more to do with the actual articulation of the wheels, but it does allow you to, more refine the turning radius on the actual steering wheel. And so if that's something you appreciate, I imagine you'll appreciate this in the Honda Zero vehicles as well. These vehicles are also expected to be pretty well enhanced in autonomous driving. They developed with Renaissance Electronics and Helm AI, aiming for natural, safe driving behaviors with over-the-air updates for level 3 functionality. So, like every other automaker out there, Honda expects to have their own software that will help the vehicle autonomously drive. And charging. These vehicles are expected to have the J34 standard, the North American charging standard. Really, no need to get deep there. These vehicles are expected to have bi-directional charging, which will be pretty cool. They're calling it the Honda Smart Charge program, which will allow cost-effective energy use and allow vehicles to be used as like power stations. So imagine, your home runs out of power. You're able to plug your home into your Honda EV and it will power your home. Or you have some sort of event going outside and there are no outlets nearby. You plug everything into your car and it will run off of your vehicle. This is really nothing extravagant. It's the same thing we see in the Cybertruck and the F-150 Lightning and the Chevy Bolt with bi-directional charging and their 240 volt outlets. And really, that's a lot of the specs we know so far about the Zero Series EVs, the Saloon and SUV. As I said, these are concepts, so take everything with a grain of salt. But again, production expected early 2026, which means we'll likely see prototypes of production intent vehicles by later this year. What I really want to talk about and move right into is Afeela. Afeela is the joint venture between Sony and Honda. Now we know Sony, the Japanese company, makes displays. They make audio hardware. They make the PlayStation. They make chips. They make a lot of hardware, technological hardware that we see in all of our devices. And Sony is good at that, right? Sony's headphones are world renowned. Sony's TVs are some of the highest quality. And we have the PlayStation, which is as of today, one of the most advanced gaming consoles of its time in terms of performance. And so All of this expertise that Sony has comes with Honda's manufacturing expertise, particularly in vehicles, allows these two to come together and make something special. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Sony has had ambition to like make vehicles for years now, and so with the help of Honda, Honda gets a lot just more technology, luxury, preciseness, fine tuning that comes from Sony. So this is just a great joint venture. Now, right off the bat from the configurator, we're just going to go right through it. Well, before I do, let's talk about pricing. So there's going to be two trims as of right now, Signature and Origin. Origin is the base model. It starts at $89,900, expected in 2027. The first version of the Afeela one we'll see will be the Signature, which will be a delivery expected in 2026, starting from $102,900. This is up there, it's another $100,000 EV sedan with up there with the EQS, the Model S, the Lucid Air. And until we actually see something tangible, we get our hands on it here on the Out of Spec channels. We can't really say how well this will do, but just based on paper, right, $100,000 sedan, the EQS, the Model S, and Lucid Air are already really good packages, and that's upper echelon. You can get a Model 3 or an i4 even, or Ioniq 6, and they're great sedans, and so the market is very limited, I believe, for $100,000 sedans. How much more room and capacity for the market is there for $100,000 EV sedans? But anyway, right, 40 sensors in this vehicle. Sony and Honda claim 40 units of sensors around this vehicle related to the entire end to end of the vehicle, but likely related to the autonomous features of this vehicle. For instance, with Tesla's full self-driving, which from video already is doing super well, they only are doing that with, I think, like 8, 9, or 10 cameras. And so 40 sensors, I would love to see exactly where all 40 of these sensors are. And I mean, this is Sony, so add as many sensors as you want, Computing power, they're claiming 800 tops of power, trillions of operations per second. That's what tops means. And 800. For perspective, Tesla's hardware 3, AI 3, the computing power that we see in like the 2020 to 2022 3 Tesla Model S, X3, and Y, that has about a 36 trillions of operations per second. This is 800 trillions of operations per second. So the computing power in here is huge. And again, this is Sony, so this is expected. And of course, the Afeela will have access to the Tesla supercharging network because it does have a J3400 plug. And I'll kind of show here from their website kind of some of the summaries of what's expected. And you can see, right, this vehicle is expected to have the J3400 standard. We see this is the Tesla NACS connector. Instead of saying Tesla, it says Afeela. But I'm glad everyone's on board for the J3400 NACS. It is in the quote correct location. The charge port is on the front right, same place we see in the Nissan Ariya. This allows drivers to pull into Tesla supercharging stations without really blocking anyone off. Something that we will see in the 2025 Ioniq 5, but not something we'll see in the Kia EV6. And so not everyone's on board yet with changing the charge port location. And I think that's because it is expected rolling into this year, 2025 and 2026, most supercharging stations are expected to be V4 dispensers. Automakers are expecting Tesla to switch out all of this chargers for V4s. And so at that point, the necessity for putting the charge port in a specific location becomes, less and less required. The charge port location can be important because, in some cases, to put the charge port in the rear back, or the front right, it can be complicated because that's high voltage wiring. It could uh, complicate manufacturing for automakers, their margins, the cost. And so I actually think it's just easier for networks to just have longer cables and better placed stalls. But yeah, expecting NACS, that's really expected standard from every automaker at this point. The Afeela Intelligent Drive will come standard on all Afeela vehicles, level 2 plus. The Afeela, it will come with an Afeela personal agent, which we haven't got like crazy information on that, but I imagine that will be like your AI assistant. Sony-Honda say the personal agent in Afeela utilizes AI to enable natural conversations between you and your mobility. It understands your questions, provide answers, and occasionally initiates topics of its own. Do I want my car asking me random questions throughout the day? No. The more time you spend together, the better it understands you, evolving it into a truly personalized agent tailored just for you. So imagine this akin to Siri or Google Home or Amazon Alexa. Users can naturally converse conserve converse with the personal agent to play music, adjust the cabin temperature, or switch themes. Beyond that, the agent becomes a pleasant companion during travel, making the journey more enjoyable. It actively greets you during morning commute, chats with you during traffic jams, responds to jokes, and provides recommendations or answers based on the surroundings of your inquiries. Mercedes has a similar like software to this where you can say, "Hey Mercedes," and ask it jokes and talk to it. And during our drive with the I-90 Surge, really not necessary. I understand everything's AI now. I think it'd be good, if something that's connected to, let's say, Google Home, right? My Google Calendar is always full. I know what's going on, and it'd be nice if my car, kind of communicated with me on that as well. But I don't think. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I don't know if this is really necessary, but this is just another feature that Sony Honda are trying to articulate and market. Of course, the sound. Sony says sound plays a pivotal role in shaping the emotional impact of entertainment. Afeela integrates top tier sound and noise canceling technologies, delivering a level of immersion that redefines how you enjoy music, films, and games. That's another good point, right? Noise cancellation. Active noise cancellation in vehicles is actually something we're seeing more common now, especially, of course, in higher end vehicles. And I'll be curious to see how Sony, does this in the Afeela One. I mean, this will be a really technology forward vehicle. And although we have the likes of Lucid and Mercedes and Tesla with, good hardware or software experiences in terms of luxury, depending on what you're looking for, Sony is the best at it all when it comes to the hardware of things. And so again, I'm curious to see how things play out. I think one of the quirky things about this, the Afeela One has a front media bar. Sony Honda say the media bar is a symbolic information display on the vehicle's front face. Afeela's unique interface creates an interactive relationship between people and mobility. It enables seamless communication between drivers, passengers, and even people outside the vehicle, adding a new dimension of enjoyment to public spaces. So just imagine you're driving in New York City and the front of your Afeela says "Have a nice day," and so people can read that. And you hit a pedestrian and they can read, "Oh, have a nice day. How cool." Really jokes there, but this is just a full screen on the front of your car. I wonder how expensive that gets. They even have a video here showing the front of the screen, and this looks interesting. So, warning: it'll show you the charging, even happy holiday themes, baby on board themes. This is pretty interesting. Even gaming themes. So it'll show the title of the game maybe that you're playing within your vehicle. I do have to preface, right? Sony makes the PlayStation, and the PlayStation is huge. And it's likely that we'll see good gaming aspect of Afeela put across. And I'll kind of move over to the entertainment base over here. And so I haven't seen a lot of information when it comes to how they'll integrate a lot of the gaming features into Afeela, but I think it's expected at this point, right? Sony makes the PlayStation. It'd be awesome to be able to play games, especially while you're charging in your own vehicle. We've seen Tesla tease and work through that with their own in-game apps and entertainment and being able to connect through like Steam, but something that's really comprehensive, being able to play games like, Grand Theft Auto 5, Ghost of Tsushima, these really heavy games. If you're a gamer, sorry, I'm kind of going on a whim here, but really uh, energy demanding games. And it'll be cool to see what that looks like in this vehicle. And yeah, I mean, the Afeela is going to be pretty interesting. I think when this comes out, I want to go back to the configurator for a bit, kind of talk about what else we see here. So we talked about price, right? This is expected with 5G connectivity, spatial sound, immersive entertainment section, which again will probably tie into part with gaming, customizable themes, immersive 3D map, and through their navigation. And right, this I guess will come standard with all of the same wheels. I wonder if Afeela will be changing this in the future, but as of right now, it'll come with 21-inch alloy wheels, and a rear entertainment screen, center camera monitoring system, and home link. So this will be a really tech-forward vehicle. And in line with that, this vehicle will only be sold in California, at least initially. When you reserve, and you're only allowed to reserve if you live in California, you are saying that you're going to take delivery in California and the car will stay in California, at least garage there. And so I don't think they're saying you're not allowed to take road trips to New York. But the point is that for the majority of the time, your Afeela is going to stay in California. It is likely that Sony and Honda will be building out the service network of Afeela, and starting in California. And like other EV automakers, this will be direct to consumer. So it's not like you're going to be going to an Afeela dealership. You'll be buying this vehicle online and picking it up in person, at a dealership, so at a delivery center. But again, I imagine the delivery center, the service centers will be, separate from the dealership network, service network that Honda currently has. We have two interior options, which I'll kind of show here. We have black and white, right? As simple as it gets. Something that I noticed on the Afeela and also the Honda Zero EVs, this yoke here. I mean, this yoke here looks okay. Of course, the Honda Zero concept yoke was a concept, and so it wasn't as comprehensive. How do you guys feel about the yokes? I think it's unnecessary. As long as you design the steering wheel in a way where it's not blocking the display behind you, it's a non-issue to add a yoke. I mean, right? I believe Tesla first was claiming that the reason they added the yoke so you can see the rear screen better. In my Rivian, it's bad. The steering wheel blocks off part of the section. I can still see the speedometer, but there's just certain content that I'm not able to always see unless I move my head a bit because how the steering wheel is designed. That doesn't mean you go all out and just chop the steering wheel in half. So I'm curious what you guys think. Yoke, no yoke. Interiors, we have calm white, tidal gray, which is kind of like this almost bluish gray. And then we also just have core black. And so three paint options. I wonder if this will change in the future. But, you know, uh, this is a high end, tech focused vehicle. And I think to keep manufacturing simple, this is what they're just going for. Not a million options here. But yeah, this is really it for the Afeela. This is going to be a pretty interesting vehicle. I hope to see on the roads. It'll be cool to see what the real world range figures, efficiency, real world use of this vehicle is like going forward. And again, this is a software end to end vehicle. Sony has that experience. Honda has the amazing manufacturing and quality control experience, and so you're essentially just going to make a really good car. So it'll be cool to see how that looks going forward. Here we have a picture of the charging port. um and kind of here the rear cargo. And so this is more of a hatch than like a regular traditional trunk. Of course, rear perforated seats. I wonder if those are ventilated for this vehicle price. Likely so. And of course, we have outlets. We have a 120-volt outlet, and as well as a cigarette lighter 12-volt outlet. So yeah, this is pretty nice. 118-inch wheelbase, 193-inch length. So your basic sedan. And yeah, look, guys, I'm curious to see what Honda has in their sleeves moving forward. I think with their knowledge with Afeela, right, a lot of the expertise that Sony has, I'm surprised they aren't going all in with Sony and just making the Honda Zero SUV and saloon. Afeela vehicles make a SUV as well. We know the EV market is plagued with mid-sized SUVs, Model Y, ID4, Aria, XC40 electrified, Mach-E, R2's coming in the future. I mean, Kia EV5, EV6, Ioniq 5. I mean, the market just has a lot of mid-sized SUVs, and consumers love them. You guys love them. I love them, honestly. And so I'm surprised they just aren't going all out with a consumer-focused, cost-focused, Afeela vehicle. Maybe that's what it is, but they aren't advertising it as such. But look, thank you guys so much for watching. This is the Out of Spec channel. My name is Isaiah, and I'll see you guys in the next one.